Given what Trump has said in the last week, are you embarrassed to be an American?
No, definitely not. But it was clearly a mistake on Thursday. Okay, and it's a shame because it just
which one are you referring to? There's so many mistakes.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I would agree with that, but there was, the little trivial things like, Iceland, Greenland, we all make those mistakes. But
what about the extortion and the threat of violence over occupying the land of a fellow NATO member?
Yeah, well, we all knew.
Is that nothing
we
as
all
well?
knew that was just rhetoric, and that's.
Did we know that though?
Oh, absolutely.
After Venezuela, we can't really be sure.
No, apples and oranges on that one. So, no, the mistake was not being clear that he was referring to certain NATO partners rather than the UK, and that was a big mistake. And I'm not apologizing. I mean, I'm not suggesting that wasn't a
You're talking about the Afghanistan.
Yes, I mean that was
the 457 who died. Defending NATO's interests in Afghanistan, including America's.
No, and by the way, he didn't say.
How can you get that so wrong? I mean, how can you defend a president, any human being, whether he was running a laundrette, let alone the most powerful country in the world, when they make such a fundamental mistake?
Yeah.
Even if you think this stuff to yourself, surely there's a filter that comes down and says, these words will not be pronounced.
Right. Now, he did not say the UK or Great Britain, but that was, again,
but all the others too. There are other, the Danes, for instance.
The Danes had the highest casualty rate, per capita than, and basically the same as the US. And so it was atrocious not to be more clear and not to bring some clarity to the comment. So, the message, I'm sure he had some kind of point there to make, that, and he's been making it for 10 years now, that the NATO has to step up, that there has to be more.
But they've been stepping up. You can make that point without insulting your friends.
Agreed. I totally agree. Absolutely, I can agree with that.
But all the other stuff I mentioned in my introduction, what I want to know from you, Greg, is, you seem like a decent chap.
Seem?
Well, you do seem. Okay. Right. But how can you defend someone like Trump, who, if your children used language like that, or your friends used language like that, you would dump them or you would tell them off.
Right.
This is a question of character, of decency.
He's a decent man, but he does make mistakes, and he also has a different style. And so, but the condescension that we've had for 10 years on Trump is one of the reasons he was elected in 24. 73 million people voted for him.
So whatever condescension you might have perceived from our side is nothing compared to the belittling, scathing, seething arrogance that he's showing, his European friends and allies.
He has a completely different methodology, and it's different than any president, obviously.
Methodology. Do you think he even knows how to spell that word, what it means? Methodology is giving him too much credit, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. And I think, look, he's got a different way of accomplishing things. I'm going
to have to stop you there.
Yeah.
I'm interrupting you too much, and I apologize for that. But I'm so glad you're here. But what has he actually accomplished, right? Okay, we've increased our defense spending. I think Vladimir Putin had quite a lot to do with that as well. On NATO, which is, whether you like it or not, was a pretty successful defensive alliance for 75 years, he's in danger of destroying it. On trade relations, he picked a trade fight with China that he lost. He lost it. Let's be honest about that. It is American consumers who are paying the price at the till for the smaller trade fights he picked with his European allies.
All right. I'm not taking notes here, Matt, but let's go try to do one at a time. Okay, so the speculation from the I'll say the mainstream media in the U.S. that there would be inflation because of tariffs was wrong. Not only hasn't there been inflation because of tariffs, but also there's actually no evidence that there's ever been inflation from tariffs.
Not yet.
And when China and the Europeans have tariffs, there's no inflation. There's deflation in China right now, even though they have the highest tariffs
Greg,
in the
even
world.
on the issue of inflation and trade policy, the fact is that if you are a company and you want to invest in America, are you really going to set up, going to make that long-term investment? Are you going to trust America across the board? Because this guy changes his mind on a dime.
Yeah.
Who trusts your country today? How would you sell brand America other than through fear?
Well, $17 trillion of foreign direct investment is coming into the country. And even when critics of President Trump, like Bloomberg, start to, argue that it's not really 17 trillion, it's only 8 trillion. Well, there was $1 trillion during the Biden years, so I'll take $8 trillion. So those are the outcomes that we're seeing, and so ultimately,
so is it all about money then? So people are still making lots of money. Therefore, all the other stuff, the alliances, all the other political packaging is just for the birds.
The American consumer the American voter is making more money than they did a year ago. They're making $1,000 more in real terms, inflation adjusted.
But what about the rest of the world?
Right,
I'm not talking about money here. I'm talking about values. I'm talking about politics. I'm talking about war and peace. These other issues.
So we're not talking about money anymore. Okay, so if we're talking war and peace, I would argue there's been a lot more peace thanks to President Trump. And so how he gets there might be different. He threatens. He uses economic coercion.
Where has there been more peace? Just give me one example.
I can start with...
I know he's got 8 wars that he's ended, but give us one.
I can say...
Gaza ceasefire.
Ceasefire.
Can I just on that one, just briefly, because I know...
Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Was that really Trump? I don't think that was really Trump, was it? And also on the Gaza ceasefire, can I just tell you, because I know a little bit about Gaza. The Gaza ceasefire, Trump negotiated the Gaza ceasefire before he came into office, and the ceasefire was there when he was inaugurated. And then he allowed the Israelis to break it a few months later because not all the hostages were released in one go, which is always part of the deal, that release would be phased. And then another 15,000 people had to get killed before the next ceasefire. And he only did that one because the Israelis were dumb enough to attack Qatar.
But I think we can probably find something that you can criticize the president on besides Gaza. I mean... He stopped the fighting. President Trump had a major victory lap on that. Even his critics were, slapping.
But he could have. If he'd stuck to the original deal, he would have ended it much earlier. A deal that he broke it.
Yeah, sure. And I'm guessing, again, it's speculation that Russia, Ukraine would not have started if Trump was in the White House, and surely...
Well, we don't really know that, do we?
Because look what happened to the...
and now he's handing Ukraine to Vladimir Putin.
Just in the last year, you've seen much more peace thanks to President Trump.
I don't buy that. But what's he going to do with Ukraine?
I have no idea. He's been trying for a year.
Is he going to throw Ukraine under the bus?
The loose cannon here is Putin in that whole thing, okay? We all,
Putin has been very consistent. Very consistent. I don't accept a ceasefire. I will carry on fighting. I want all the land.
So what do we do? Do we invade? Do we send troops there? Do we have boots on the ground from European allies? I've not seen that offered yet. So Trump is trying to end this. He's not been successful. Okay, so 1 out of 8 he's not been successful on. So it's a shame, but that's not on President Trump and that's not on Zelensky. It's on Putin.
Do you think the Western alliance is over?
No.
Why?
No, it's improving. In fact,
it's improving.
Okay, speed bump Thursday with some indelicate comments, but
you're making it sound like it's a sort of a burp at a dinner party. I mean, this is consistent stuff over and over again. Trump is basically, insulting his allies and friends with everything he says. Did you listen to the speech in Davos? It was appalling.
But he's right. I listened to the speech. I personally thought it was great.
What? What bit of it was great? Greg?
Well, let's talk about the criticisms, okay? Because that's what you like to lean on. I didn't see too many congratulations on that speech. Okay, so he was critical. He's been critical for 10 years of NATO for not spending enough on defense and security. Now we have commitments of 5%. I'm not sure that the Europeans can meet those commitments because of the welfare states.
Hold on a minute. You can say, well, we all appreciate that. I mean, he has been appreciated by numerous European leaders together with Vladimir Putin's war.
I would agree on that.
Yeah, that's rather important as well, isn't it?
I think that woke some people up.
But why do you then have to, if that's the case, surely you take the victory lap, and what you don't do is then, rub salt into the wound and kick your allies in the place where it hurts most. I mean, this is just not the thing you do. It's not decent, Greg.
There's, as I said, he's got a different way of doing things, and the outcomes are what's important to him. And if the outcome is 5% of GDP spent on military and defense and security, that's a great outcome.
How about, we spend 5% on GDP, but NATO is going to be reshaped as a European alliance, and we say goodbye to America.
I wouldn't say, I don't know that
but
that's the outcome.
that's where this is heading, right? I mean, it will take a long time. It'll be painful.
That's the drama. That's what you're hearing from some people, and I don't think
but
that
the Canadians are doing it already. There's a boycott on American consumer goods.
Canadians are irrelevant. Okay.
Oh, really? Actually, Mark Carney, their prime minister, gave quite a good speech.
I heard the speech. You got a standing O. Of course, this is like Elizabeth Warren going to Brown and giving a lecture and getting.
No, it's not that. No, that's just. But Davos is not that. No. But Davos is not. No, Davos is full of really rich guys, you know, who want to make more money, and even the rich guys who quite like Trump for his deregulation and tax policies are saying, "Oh my God, this guy's off the wall."
Sure. The globalist crowd at Davos is never going to like President Trump. I understand that. And by the way, I thought Davos was much improved.
Davos is run by Trump's mate Larry
Fink, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think Davos had more pro-growth economics this time than they did in the past 10 years when it was all about climate change and net zero and DEI. So I think Larry is bringing a dose of economic arguments to Davos besides net zero and DEI.
Just a few quick ones.
Yeah.
A criminal case against Jerome Powell, Jay Powell, the outgoing chair of the Fed, who is appointed by Trump in the first term.
Yeah.
Nice thing to do? Speed bump?
No, not nice.
Right, another not nice thing to do, and bloody stupid. Excuse my French. You know, given the fact that America has so much fiscal responsibility.
I don't know if you heard the Treasury Secretary's Scott Bessent's comments on.
Yeah, he said
on him. Yeah, so I thought that was just delivered a little bit more accurately.
Yeah, but even he was, he was rubbing up his European friends and allies in the wrong way.
Yeah, no, he's not afraid to
Christine Lagarde, getting up and walking out of a meal when Howard Lutnick made some very anti-European comments. Again, this doesn't normally happen. This isn't just a.
I mean, Howard's a lot.
This isn't just
President Trump, he's a Long Island guy. He knows how to he knows how to punch, and it's unpleasant sometimes to hear that stuff. But they're right. They're right about net zero being destructive to the economy,
but you can say that in reasonable terms.
Yes, you can, and sometimes you have to say it in unreasonable terms because no one's listening. And so we I'll just say we collectively, the U.S., the United States or the U.S. government or the administration have tried doing it the polite way. Barack Obama tried doing it politely. It failed. He was very critical.
Is the secret sauce not somewhere in the middle where you use clear language without insulting everyone?
Sometimes you have to be aggressive. If you want a friend, get a dog. That's not my style, but it's the president's style.
But you're prepared to defend that style?
Absolutely, I am, because it works.
Okay, so if the prime minister,
we finally have commitments on defense and security. We finally have some reasonable conversation about the net zero insanity. Yep. And that's occurred in this country, and guess who pays for that? The poor and the working class. I don't care about
net zero insanity is a subject for another day. But if you increase defense spending, but you destroy the alliance that actually keeps us safer, all of us, including you, by the way, in America. That's not good. Final question to you, Greg.
We'll destroy the alliance, and America will be there. The special relationship will endure.
I don't think anyone's buying that at the moment.
At the moment.
Right. Yeah. And it's a big moment. Okay, final question to you is, if the king, or rather the prime minister, decides not to send the king to your celebrations, 250 years since you became a republic, although now it looks as if you want to become a monarchy again, which is a bit confusing. But if the king doesn't go, how damaging would that be?
It would be unfortunate, yeah. It would be unfortunate. I don't think it's...
It's
not the end of the world.
Tony Soprano.
First of all, I think he'll go. I'm pretty confident that things will settle down. They always do. And this is classic Trump.
I hope you're right.
You throw a grenade in the room, everybody freaks out. A week later, everything's cool. No,
grenade in the room. Shrapnel everywhere.
It's a figurative.
Okay, I know what you mean.